All right, good afternoon. It is Wednesday, May 12th, 2010. A couple things I want to go over today. The new Supreme Court nominee, Elena Kagan, and some of these Greek riots going on right now, which I briefly mentioned last time. Let's start with Greece. The riots over there have been going on. Several people have been killed. There's been fires, mass protests in the streets, clashes with police officers. It's really scary to watch because we usually associate things like that with third world countries. We don't associate it with Europe, or at least our generation doesn't. Those things have been going on in Europe for centuries, thousands of years. But our generation isn't very accustomed to that. We have grown up in a world where Europe has been relatively stable, America has been stable. So when we see things like this, it's shocking. But, I'm very conflicted about these protesters because they're right. The bankers have screwed them. The IMF has screwed them over. But at the same time, I think most of these protesters are absolute idiots. Or just don't have any clue about what they're talking about. If you look at what are they protesting, they're not protesting the government, which got them into this mess in the first place by spending too much money, by borrowing too much money. They are protesting the austerity measures, which need to happen. And yes, it's true, the IMF is compelling Greece to accept those measures, and that much is true, but they need to be done. In Greece, the average retirement age is 53. I mean, my father is, he's in his mid-50s. He's still working. He's probably going to work another 10 years. 53? Are you kidding me? So Greece has this entire, entitlement culture over there that has plunged their nation into debt. And that's the one main thing we can take away from this Greece crisis, is that you cannot continue to borrow and spend money without having to pay up. John Maynard Keynes, the 20th century economist, put this idea into our heads that don't worry about the debt, we'll deal with that later, it's not a big deal. Well, Keynes is being proven wrong as we speak right now with what's going on in Europe and what's coming to the United States, because you cannot simply borrow money the whole time and expect never to pay it. The debt will need to be paid. The people who have been living in Greece who haven't been working hard, I'm not entirely sure about this, but I know their work week is less than 40 hours. So they have like a 30-something hour work week, early retirement, massive entitlement programs. This is what got them into the mess. The IMF is a problem too, and it gets so complicated when you start to throw in all these other things, credit default swaps. It's impossible to go over all of it, or I don't understand half of it. What I do understand is that Greece got into this trouble because of the entitlement culture. But these protesters, they're out in the street protesting protesting cuts. It's ridiculous. Do none of them understand just basic principles of economics, that if you don't produce things, you cannot consume? It's so basic of a principle, it's hard to believe that certain people just can't seem to grasp it. But if you consume, you have to produce as well. And Greece has not been producing. They have very strict labor laws, very heavy regulation that discourages business and has encouraged business to move out of the country. Yet these protesters are not protesting that. Another thing too, if you notice, these protests have been very violent. They've been mostly union led, and I'm not against unions per se. I'm against a union that is unreasonable, and these unions are being unreasonable. But look at all the violence that's been going on, and then compare that to the Tea Parties. What has the media said about the Tea Parties? The media has, even though the Tea Parties, if you've actually gone to a Tea Party, you'll see what I mean. You see grandparents sitting there in lawn chairs. You see families, kids going around. I've never seen any violence at a Tea Party event. And yet everybody's always, oh, is there going to be violence from a Tea Party member? And oh, this is worrying us so much. No, the violence isn't going to come from the Tea Parties, because the Tea Parties, for the most part, believes in this: liberty. The Greek people do not have that, or the ones that we're seeing on television. I'm sure some Greek people do. But these Greek protesters have no conception of what that means. And that's not, that flag you see behind me is not an American flag. It's a universal flag. That's why I have it on my wall. I don't believe in nationalism in the way that we conceive of nationalism today. I mean, I'm proud to be an American. But, this is a universal flag. It applies to England, China, Greece, whoever. But they have, it's like they don't understand what that even means. They can't comprehend it. And so they're in the streets protesting what basic things that need to be done. Deregulation, cuts in government spending, so on. So anyway, watch this Greece news. Gold has gone up tremendously. It went up about $30 an ounce today. Just watch the news. That's all I'm going to say. Last thing, Elena Kagan. We don't know much about her. She's never been a judge, which actually I don't have a problem with. The Constitution does not require that a Supreme Court justice must be a federal judge. She's from Harvard University. And, if you look at who's on the Supreme Court now, all of the Supreme Court justices are either from Harvard, Yale, or some other Ivy League school. They're all East Coast, Northeastern Ivy Leaguers. Even the right-wing justices on the bench are from Ivy League schools. I mean, it'd be nice for once to just have one normal American serving on the Supreme Court. Wasn't it Obama who said, oh, I want a justice who has real-life experience and who is able to connect with real people? Elena Kagan has never held a real job in her life outside of these different government jobs with Harvard University or whoever, or government agency. She has no real-life experience in that respect. But that's not my biggest beef with her. My biggest beef with her is her interpretation of the Constitution, which is, well, that the founders were completely flawed in their reasoning of restrained government, and that the Constitution must be reinterpreted for the times. It's not a surprise that Obama picked somebody like this. It's not like I expected Obama to pick somebody who would strictly follow the Constitution. But I was at least hoping that Obama would pick, even if he was going to pick a loose constructionist, I wanted him to at least pick a loose constructionist who supported civil liberties. John Paul Stevens, for example, he was a loose constructionist. He believed in a powerful central government, but he was very protective of civil liberties. He was against indefinite detention without trial, and that was very good because that prevented the Bush administration from going too far in fighting or in abolishing civil liberties. But now he's being replaced with a new justice who has very little respect for civil liberties. She says that a suspected terrorist could be held indefinitely without a trial. John Paul Stevens didn't say that. She supports warrantless wiretapping. She has very little respect for a right to privacy. Some of her views on the freedom of speech, she believes in a more controlled, she believes in some government control over speech. She is not a supporter of civil liberties. And this is the biggest disappointment. I'm not too surprised. I didn't expect Obama to pick a fervent supporter of civil liberties. But, it's... Last point. I know I've been rambling here. What really upsets me on this Kagan issue is the hypocrisy of the establishment left. The left, if Bush hadn't nominated someone with a track record of Elena Kagan as far as civil liberties are concerned, the left would have gone nuts. But because Obama nominates her, you don't hear a peep from the media about how she doesn't support basic civil liberties. So the hypocrisy is very annoying, to say the least. but it's not surprising. We've seen it over and over under this administration, dealing with war, dealing with civil liberties, dealing with everything, almost everything under a bus. The left has been hypocritical about. But anyway, that's all I have. Take care, and I'll see you guys next time. Bye.